Hey everyone, my name is Johnny and I'm a drummer living in Toronto, Canada. And today I just wanted to share my story with you all about buying my first drum kit back when I was a kid and what that was like and what my feelings were towards the drums at that time and kind of the trials and tribulations about growing as a drummer. So I hope you enjoy, and here we go. Growing up as a kid, I always had this fascination with the drums, and my family didn't really know this. Any chance I got, even as a very, very young kid, I used to love banging on the pots and pans. And as you can see from this video that my dad shared a while ago, I legitimately loved playing the pots and pans, and I would kind of do it every now and then, and it was so much fun. And I would often play even later with chopsticks. I remember anytime we'd go to the Mandarin to get Chinese food, I would always grab extra chopsticks so that I could bring them home and play on the pots and pans. So I had this kind of secret obsession with the drums. So I have an older brother who played guitar at the time. My brother is 8 years older than me. And I remember one day my brother came home from the music shop and he told me that there was a sale for drums and he wanted to know if I wanted to split the cost and buy a drum set with him. And I was about 11 years old at the time. And being from an Italian family, anytime it was my birthday, my grandparents would give me money, just straight up cash. So I would always save it. And I had this secret hidden jar in my house. And I had a bunch of money that I had saved over the last few years. So I told them, yeah, I'm in. And my parents thought that my brother was trying to scam me. They were like, why are you forcing your brother to go half on this instrument that he doesn't even want to play? They also said, there's no way you're buying these drums. We're not having them in the house. No way. But secretly, I really, really wanted drums. I actually couldn't even believe it. It was kind of like a dream come true, to be honest, when my brother asked me if I wanted to get drums. But of course, my brother and I were like, yeah, don't worry. We're not going to get them. We're not going to get them. We're just going to go look at them. And I was so excited at this point. I'd never really been to a music store to buy any musical instruments. In fact, I don't even know if I'd been to a music store in any official capacity at that point. So we got in the car. My brother, being 8 years older, had his driver's license, and we drove to LA Music in South Mississauga, and we went in and we saw the drum kit. I remember it was a white drum kit, kind of stacked on top of each other, as they typically are when they're not set up. And all I knew is that it was a white drum kit and it was $400. I already knew this in advance and I had brought my money kind of just in case. So we started talking to one of the sales reps there and he was like, yeah, it's a good kit. It comes with some cymbals, it comes with stands, it's got everything you need. And we knew nothing about drums at the time. And I remember we were chatting amongst ourselves and my brother was like, so do you wanna get the drum kit? I was like, yeah, let's get it. And inside I was so excited. And we're like, well, mom and dad aren't gonna want it. But we had a sense that they would kind of be cool with it at the end of the day. So we said, we're gonna buy it. And I remember my brother kind of talking to the guy and being like, hey, if we pay cash, can we save the tax? And I don't really remember what happened, but I remember my brother trying to kind of get a bit of a cash deal there. Anyways, we took this drum kit home and we didn't know how to set it up. I remember the guy at LA Music gave us a drum magazine. It was maybe a promotional magazine. And I remember just looking at the drum kits and just trying to mimic what a drum set looked like all set up. So there was a big learning curve right off the bat. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know, to be honest, the brand of the drums. All I knew is that on the kick drum, it said Max Win by Pearl. So anytime someone asked us, they're like, what kit did you get? I was like, oh, it's Max Win by Pearl. Later, years later, when I actually looked at the kit, I realized they were Westbury shells, but they just kind of put this different skin on the front. So I don't know if they were trying to pull a fast one there or whatever, but I had some entry-level Westbury drums. It was pretty much just like plywood, but they were really cool. I remember setting up, I didn't even know how to set up the toms. I set them up in the classic rabbit ear beginner setup, which kind of looked like this. And it was really funny because I kept them like that for years. I legitimately didn't know how to set up this drum kit. So the first day that we got them, I remember just kind of fooling around, hitting stuff, doing the classic, I didn't really know what to do. I had no idea where to start. I didn't even know how to hold the drumsticks. But I was just so excited that this drum kit was in my house. I actually remember the next morning waking up and just knowing that this drum kit was in my basement. It felt almost like Christmas morning. And I remember kind of as the days went on, I just started fooling around a little more. And I remember learning a beat totally on my own. And I felt so proud of this beat. And this was the beat. It went like this. And I found it so confusing at first. It was literally like doing this, you know? And I just felt so proud after that. I didn't even know that that was kind of the foundation to a lot of rock and roll beats. I just thought it was a cool thing to do that sounded like something a drummer would do. The next kind of milestone I hit was when my neighbor Simon came over, who was kind of my childhood friend. I would see him every day in the summer when school was out. He came by and I remember we had our stereo there and my brother had his CD collection, and I put on the song Paradise City by Guns N' Roses and I played along with it. And it was like, take me down to the Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls stop playing. And I remember him saying, whoa, you can play the drums? And I felt so cool that I could play that. Kind of over the years, I never took any drum lessons. And in hindsight, I really wish I took drum lessons because I didn't know what was going on. There was a big learning curve in many aspects. I remember I would always get blisters on my hands, so much so that I wouldn't even hold the drumsticks correctly because it would hurt after a while. So I literally would hold the drumsticks like this in between my hands and play. Like, anyone who saw me playing like that would have been like, what is this guy doing? Anytime people would come by my house to hang out in my basement, they would always be like, play the drums for me, and I would just do some kind of... Everyone thought it was cool, but that was always the thing. And I would say for the first 10 years of having that drum kit in my basement, I would always play along to music. That was what I did. I would burn compilation CDs. I would just gather all CDs, even that my brother had or I had, and I would have my CD player with anti-skip technology right next to my drum kit, and I would just play along to full albums. That's how I kind of learned. I also used to jam a lot with my brother. He would come downstairs to the basement and plug in his guitar, and I remember we would always play like early Metallica stuff, Master of Puppets all the time. We played a lot of Pearl Jam as well, and just kind of anything my brother was listening to at the time, a lot of grunge stuff. So I was kind of exposed to all of that kind of music, which had solid drumming on it, and I'm very fortunate that he exposed me to that as well. I kind of had a natural sense of 4/4 timing, you know, in the sense that even without lessons, I could play a beat and do a drum fill and end it correctly, you know, so that was pretty good. But where I really struggled was listening to drums on a track and knowing what the person was playing. Not necessarily stuff that was just kick, snare, and, you know, ride or cymbals, but more drum fills and especially sticking patterns and especially ghost notes. I was so confused with ghost notes. I didn't know what the drummer was playing. I remember when I first started jamming with my buddy Tom, we would always jam the song Californication by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I remember Chad Smith always uses ghost notes, but I didn't know what he was doing. So, like, Californication is kind of like this. And it wasn't until grade 11, literally in high school, when I finally realized what ghost notes were. And I remember specifically on the song Suck My Kiss by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which has a ton of ghost notes in it. And I remember just seeing the video and I saw Chad Smith like drag the stick on the snare drum. And I was like, that's what he's been doing this whole time. That's that sound I've been hearing. So it was so crazy. And yeah, it's just been such a cool progression over the years, you know. I remember even my first tour that I went on across Canada. I was playing with my band at the time called White Cowbell, Oklahoma, and we were doing the Rockstar Uproar Tour. And on this particular tour, all the drummers were doing like stick tricks and, you know, playing and doing all these things. And it almost seemed like on that tour, these drummers were just trying to one-up themselves, but it was done in a really slick way. It wasn't this big flashy thing, you know, it was just little slick moves. And I remember after that tour, I was like, okay, I gotta like learn a few tricks here, you know. So that just opened me up to that world. And every step of the way, I just picked something up. Cut to all of these years later, and I'm 33, and yeah, I practice, all the time on a practice pad. I really try to make note of technique, and I have a drumstick endorsement with Los Cabos, and it's been a great journey. So I'm so happy that, my brother came to me back when I was 11 that one day and said, do you want to buy a drum kit? That was definitely a pivotal moment in my life, and I don't even know if I've told my brother that. I remember there were periods there where I had a lot of extracurriculars going on, but deep down I always wanted to be a professional rock and roll drummer playing in arenas. I even remember when my family would go out for the evenings or visit friends, I would go in the basement, I would turn off all the lights, and I would turn on this one little lamp so that it was all dark in there, and I would just put my headphones on and play along to tracks and pretend like I was in an arena, and it felt so cool. And funny enough, on that same Rockstar Uproar Tour where I played with White Cowbell, Oklahoma, we actually performed inside 2 arenas on that tour. Sure, it wasn't sold out like a Pink Floyd concert, but I remember just playing in there and looking up and being like, I'm in an arena right now, and it just felt like a dream had come true. It was so crazy, and I still dream that to this day. The only difference is I'm picturing a big crowd out there, and I really hope that after the pandemic we can get back to doing all of that, and I can't wait. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my story about getting my first drum kit and the trials and tribulations of all of that. If you have a similar story, or just have a cool and unique story about the first drum kit or the first instrument you bought and what your learning curve was all about and how you kind of grew as a musician, please comment below. I'd love to hear it. And if you enjoyed this video or got something out of it, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.